You're holding a book right now. Or maybe it's sitting on your nightstand under three others just like it. And you keep telling yourself that once you finish this one, everything changes. Here's the uncomfortable thing almost nobody says out loud. Most success books make their authors rich, not their readers. And yet, there's a small, strange shelf of books that the wealthiest people alive actually read, reread, and quietly hand to each other behind closed doors. What most people get wrong is which books those are. They're not the ones flooding your feed. Stay with me, because by the end, you'll know exactly which titles rewire the way billionaires think. And one of them is a book Warren Buffett personally gave to Bill Gates that almost no list ever mentions. Let me set the stage. Over the years, I've read, honestly, hundreds of books promising to make me successful. And after a while, the pattern was impossible to miss. New titles pour out every single month, faster than anyone can read them, faster than you can even keep track of the names. You buy one, get halfway through, and three more land in your "I'll read this later" pile. So here on Brad Walker, I ask myself the only question that really counts. Out of all those books, how many added a single dollar to your account? How many actually changed the direction of your life? Be honest, maybe one, maybe none at all. So I decided to dig deeper and cut the noise. I wanted only what works. The books the real heavyweights read. The ones Buffett, Gates, Bezos, Zuckerberg, and Jobs actually studied. And let me be clear about something up front. This is not the same recycled list of bestsellers you've scrolled past 100 times. A few of the books we're about to walk through will genuinely change how you see the world. They get passed around at private dinners and almost never get talked about in public. Today, I'm handing them all to you, one by one, counting down to the single most valuable read on the list. Let's get into it. Opening the countdown is Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind by Yuval Noah Harari. This is a book that quietly takes apart the version of reality you grew up with. It's been translated into more than 65 languages and sold millions of copies around the world. Among its fans, you'll find Gates, Zuckerberg, and Obama. Gates put it on his list of all-time favorites. Zuckerberg made it part of his public reading project, the one where he committed to a new book every 2 weeks. And I don't think that's an accident. The people building the future spend a shocking amount of time studying the past. Gates himself said the book was so provocative, so full of big questions about human history, that he knew right away it would spark incredible conversations. He even told the story of reading it so eagerly that he handed it to his wife afterward, just so the two of them would have something to talk about. The core idea hits like a challenge. Everything you treat as solid bedrock, money, corporations, governments, religions, none of it is a law of nature. They're shared stories, collective fictions we all agree to believe. Picture a $100 bill. It's a piece of cotton and ink. It has value only because millions of strangers have silently agreed it does. Harari's point is that these imagined orders exist purely because we believe in them, which means they can be rewritten. And that's exactly how visionaries work. When Elon Musk asks the world to believe in colonizing Mars, the wild part is that millions already think and plan as if it's basically around the corner. Why read Sapiens? Because afterward, you can't unsee it. You start noticing the hidden wiring behind the world, and money, politics, and power stop feeling complicated and untouchable. It rewires the way you think. Moving on, at number 10, we have Guns, Germs, and Steel by Jared Diamond. This is another book that reshaped how Bill Gates thinks, and Charlie Munger, Buffett's right-hand man for decades, treated it as essential for anyone who wants to understand how the world actually got built. Notice the pattern again, another book about the distant past. The people building tomorrow study history obsessively. The argument is surprisingly simple. The success of entire civilizations was not decided by genius leaders or some special national talent. It was decided by geography and resources, by food, animals, climate, and trade routes. Wherever those things existed, people advanced. Wherever they didn't, people fell behind and disappeared. Here's the insight that should stop you cold. Your success depends on your environment, too. We love to believe it all comes down to raw talent and hard work. But where you stand and who you stand beside often matters far more. The right environment can multiply your growth several times over. The wrong one can quietly drag it down to zero. Imagine two equally gifted people. One spends their 20s surrounded by ambitious builders who push each other higher. The other spends those same years around people who mock every big idea. 10 years later, they live in completely different worlds. So choosing your surroundings and your context isn't a small lifestyle decision, it's strategy. And that, by the way, is exactly why being deliberate about the rooms you walk into, the people you learn from, and the conversations you sit in matters more than almost anything else you'll do this year. Onward. Number 9 is the book that inspired Jeff Bezos to build Amazon to last for generations. It's called Built to Last. The central idea is clean and powerful. Truly great companies run on two engines at once. The first is an unchanging core, a mission, and a set of values that stay fixed forever. The second is relentless reinvention. New products, new markets, new formats. The trick, the author argues, is to protect what must never change and change everything else. And here's the part that matters for you personally. This isn't only for giant corporations. Even if you work entirely alone or with a tiny team, you need to know your core, your values, your style, and the deeper reason you do the work at all. Everything else, your methods, your offerings, your tactics, should be tested and refreshed constantly. That's the only way you build something flexible enough to survive the decades. At number 8 sits a real foundation, the book Buffett calls the single most important one of his life, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Picture this. In Buffett's office, there's exactly one diploma on the wall. It isn't from Harvard. It isn't an MBA. It's a certificate from a Dale Carnegie public speaking course. For me, the line that stuck hardest goes like this. You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming genuinely interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you. Read that again, slowly. It quietly flips how most of us walk into every room. And please, don't write to me that Carnegie himself supposedly died lonely. Maybe he did. I've heard the story, but it doesn't strip a single ounce of value from the book. This one really is legendary, and the principles work whether you're closing a deal, raising a kid, or repairing a friendship. Number 7, Made in America by Sam Walton. This isn't just a billionaire's autobiography. It reads like an instruction manual for turning one tiny store in the middle of nowhere into the biggest retail empire in the country. Walton's philosophy was almost embarrassingly simple. We never forget that it's the customer who pays our wages. But behind that one sentence sits a whole operating system. Walton was obsessed with detail. Which products sold fastest, how people physically moved through the aisles, what shoppers actually said to the cashier on their way out. He soaked up every observation and folded it straight back into the business the next morning. The lesson is this: success shows up when you become obsessed with your customer, when you look at your whole business through their eyes, and suddenly the next move is obvious. But here's a hook I want you to hold on to. There's exactly one situation where listening to your customer is a fatal mistake. I'll explain it when we reach the book at number 3, so be patient and keep moving with me. At number 6, Delivering Happiness by Tony Hsieh, the man who built the online shoe company Zappos. Hsieh was convinced, from his own hard experience, that a business can grow on something other than pure profit. The central thought is this: the happiness of your employees and your customers is the real engine of growth. He built the company so that every single person, from the delivery driver to the top executive, felt genuinely cared for, and he treated looking after the customer as a personal mission. The company turned into something closer to a community, a place where people worked for shared meaning rather than a paycheck. And the ending writes itself. Amazon bought the company for $1.2 billion. What the book really teaches you is that a company is, before anything else, a culture. Or as Hsieh liked to say, we don't sell shoes, we sell happiness. Keep going. Now picture this. You're walking into a conversation that really matters, a negotiation where you need the other person to come over to your side. What do? Bury them in facts? Crush them with logic? Honestly, a far smarter move is to read Influence by Robert Cialdini first. You may have heard of it, but like I said at the start, what matters to me isn't just hearing a title, it's knowing exactly who's recommending it and why. This is a book about the hidden levers inside your own psychology and how you actually make decisions. Here's the spoiler. You don't decide rationally, you decide by by triggers. Know those triggers, and you steer the situation. Miss them, and you become a pawn in the hands of marketers, business partners, and sometimes even the people closest to you. It's no accident that Charlie Munger, Buffett's right hand, thought this book was so powerful that he handed out hundreds of copies to his colleagues. Once you read it, you start noticing the exact moment someone is trying to pull your strings, and you stay in control. Better still, you learn to negotiate with skill and walk out with the result you actually wanted. A real must-read. At number 4, The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. Buffett calls this the best book about money ever written, the foundation under everything, and he's reread it his whole life, especially 2 chapters, 8 and 20. And clearly it paid off because Buffett became one of the richest human beings alive. So let's open it up. Chapter 8 introduces a character named Mr. Market. Picture a neighbor who shows up at your door every single morning, either giddy with excitement or drowning in panic, offering to buy your shares or sell you his. His mood swings wildly day to day. Your job is to stay ice cold and use his mood swings to your advantage instead of catching them like a cold. Chapter 20 is about never paying full price for an asset. Think of a bridge rated for 10 tons. A careful engineer doesn't send 10-ton trucks across it, he sends 7 or 8 at most, leaving a margin. In investing, that means buying below true value, so you're protected from your own mistakes and from nasty surprises. The deepest insight is this: the winner isn't the smartest or the luckiest person in the room. It's the most disciplined and the most level-headed. If you want to stop losing money and start growing it, this book is the bedrock. All right, we've reached the top 3. Ready? This is where it gets richest, and there's a real hidden gem coming. Number 3, The Bronze Medal, was Steve Jobs' favorite book, The Innovator's Dilemma by Clayton Christensen. The central idea is almost frightening. The biggest threat to your business isn't your competitors, it's your own current success. Because success lulls you to sleep. Think it through. You're doing everything right. You listen to your customers. Remember, that was the golden rule back at number 7. And you improve the product exactly the way they ask. You raise quality, everything works, and you grow. But here's that one exception I promised you. There's a single area where you must never trust the customer, and it's called vision. Customers always think from where they stand today. They have no picture of the future, and only the founder carries that picture. The book is packed with case after case of companies that died precisely because they listened to their customers too carefully. Kodak, Nokia, names everyone knows, made all the correct improvements and still vanished into history. The Innovator's Dilemma is a book to read and reread. At number 2, The Innovator's Solution by the same author. It works as the sequel, built for people ready to move from theory into real practice. Bezos made this book required reading for his top executives at Amazon. It shows you exactly why yesterday's giants disappear, while scrappy startups rise into the new leaders of their industry. We're all trained to think business growth is a fight over market share, but in reality, a company truly explodes when it stops battling for a slice of the existing pie and starts, you guessed it, baking an entirely new pie. Amazon began with books, then, step by step, created brand new markets, from cloud computing to the smart speaker in your living room. Netflix started by mailing DVDs in little red envelopes, then opened up the whole world of streaming video. So if you're an entrepreneur or you're just starting your first project, this book trains you to think in terms of creation rather than a desperate race against your rivals. And now, at the very top of the list, number 1, a book with a special status. This is the one Buffett once gave to Gates as a gift. Gates later wrote a whole essay calling it the best business book he'd ever read. And yet, it almost never shows up on the popular roundups. It stays a quiet, closed pearl, known mostly to the most serious readers. It's Business Adventures, 12 Classic Tales from the World of Wall Street by John Brooks. What makes it special? It's 12 true stories about market crashes, corporate disasters, tax scandals, and stunning rises. Real business drama, where the stakes are pushed to the edge and someone has to find an answer with almost no time left. The core lesson is this: the most expensive knowledge in the world is born from other people's failures, and those failures repeat again and again across different companies and different eras, following the exact same scripts. Brooks writes a line that lands like a verdict: success is never permanent and failure is always nearby. My own takeaway is that the people who win aren't the smartest or even the boldest. They're the ones who learn fastest from mistakes, their own and other people's. And this might be the single most valuable thing an entrepreneur can read, because someone else's mistake costs you far less than your own. Now, before we wrap, I really want to hear from you. A while back, under one of my videos, someone asked me to make an episode about loneliness and how to build a real network from scratch, and I keep thinking about it. So tell me, what do you want me to cover next? Drop it in the comments, because the topics that get the most votes are the ones I build the next videos around, and your answer really does shape what I work on. And while you're down there, share the one book that actually changed something real in your life or the way you think. So where does this leave you? Here are a few next steps worth considering. Don't try to swallow all 11 of these at once. Pick a single title that hit a nerve while you were listening and make yourself a quiet promise to finish it before the new year. Then do the part almost everyone skips. Actually apply what you read. A highlighted passage you never act on changes nothing. One idea you put into practice can shift your entire trajectory. Read deliberately, choose your environment on purpose, and treat other people's failures as the cheapest tuition you'll ever pay. And keep in mind, this is informational content meant to get you thinking and reading, not a replacement for personalized financial or professional advice. If this countdown gave you even one title worth chasing, do me a small favor. Hit subscribe and tap that like button. We're climbing toward 1,000 subscribers here on Brad Walker, and every single one really does help the channel grow. I'll see you in the next one.